Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is teach you how to properly synthetically divide. So synthetic division. So I taught this in class today along with long division, but you need to be able to do this in order to complete this homework. So I'm going to remind you how to synthetically divide. So first step is to understand that we're going to write the setup of the problem. We're going to write down the coefficients of each term. So the coefficient in front of here is 1. The coefficient in front of this term is a positive 3. The coefficient here is a negative 3. The coefficient here is a negative 9. The coefficient here is a negative 28. And the coefficient here is a negative 84. So step number 1 is to write down the coefficients of each number. Then you need to draw an inverted division box. And then the other piece to keep in mind in the setup is that this number needs to be the opposite of it. So the opposite of positive 3 is negative 3. So our negative 3 is on the outside of the house. So step number 1 is the setup. Step number 2 is super easy, and it is simply to bring down the first term. So you're simply going to bring down the 1. Step number 3 is going to be to multiply. And what you're going to multiply is you're going to multiply the negative 3 times the term here. And it's going to go in this direction. So negative 3 times 1 is a negative 3. The last step is to add. So 3 plus a negative 3 is 0. So you're going to add straight down. And then you're going to repeat this multiply and add step until you get to the end. Remember, you're going to multiply and then add. Multiply and then add. So I'm going to multiply. Negative 3 times 0 is 0. Then you're going to add. A negative 3 plus 0 is a negative 3. You're going to multiply. Negative 3 times negative 3 is a positive 9. And then you're going to add. That is going to be a 0. You're going to multiply, which is 0. And then you're going to add, which gives you a negative 28. Then you multiply. 3 times negative 28 is going to give you 84, and you add. So again, you multiply up, you add down. You multiply up, you add down. You multiply up, you add down. You multiply up, and you add down. Now the final step is to write this as a division problem. So rewrite it, rewrite your answer. Because right now it's just a bunch of coefficients. Now this term will always be your remainder, and in class we did a couple of problems with remainders. If you're doing this problem correctly, in your homework you should have a remainder of 0 each time. And then remember the degrees knock down. So we go from x to the 5th down to x to the 4th. This is going to be x to the 3rd. This is x squared. This is x, and this is nothing. So we have our final answer becomes x to the 4th. We don't need a 0 minus 3x squared. We don't need our 0 minus 28. So the answer to this divided by x plus 3 is this. So that's how we first synthetically divide. Now that you have been reminded on how you synthetically divide, let's look at the rest of the notes page. So we did question 1 in class today together. So when it says find all the zeros, step 1 is going to be step 1 is going to be that you graph using Desmos. Step 1, graph using Desmos to find a solution. Okay, so let's go to Desmos. We're going to type that equation into our Desmos. So once you have one of them in here, it's not so bad, but we're going to make sure you've got to pay attention. If you even have one coefficient off, it will totally mess with your answers. 2x to the third plus 11x squared plus 21x plus 8. 2x to the third plus 11x squared plus 21x plus 8. And then we can zoom out to see all of our solutions. Let's make sure I'm not... Okay, so this solution is -1/2. Okay, we can do this. So go back to our Word document. Go back to this. So one solution we are going to do is we are going to divide this by -1/2. So we're going to synthetically divide this by -1/2 because that was one of the solutions. So for this one, we have found that x is equal to -1/2. So we're going to bring down 2, we're going to bring down 11, we're going to bring down 21, and we're bringing down 8. We're going to draw our box. We're going to multiply times -1/2. Synthetic division tells me to bring down the first term and multiply. That's going to be -1. Then I add. That gives me 10. Multiply. So -5. Add. That's going to give me 16. And this becomes -8. And add gives me 0. As a reminder, this is always my remainder. So when I rewrite this, this becomes 2x squared plus 10x plus 16. Now, step number 2 is going to be to factor our answer and solve. So I can tell immediately that I have a GCF of 2 that I can take out of each one of these. So I'm left with x squared plus 5x plus 4. Now I can tell here that 4 is going to be 1 and 4 is going to give me 5. So this is going to be x plus 1 and x plus 4. So x plus 1 is equal to 0, minus 1 from both sides. X is equal to 1, sorry, negative 1. There's a solution. X plus 4 equals 0, minus 4 on each side. X is equal to negative 4. So we have 3 solutions, 1/2, negative 1, and negative 4. Okay. Turn your paper over. Okay, find all the zeros. So again, step 1 is to graph using Desmos. So go to Desmos. And we are going to put this into the equation. So 5, x to the 4th, minus 51, oh, pay attention, minus 51x squared plus 54. So it doesn't really matter which solution we choose to use. I'm going to use negative 3. This one's not quite on one of them, and that one's not quite on it either. So we're going to use negative 3. Okay. So we take this and we're going to divide it by negative 3. As a reminder, I actually have to rewrite this as x to the 4th plus 0x to the 3rd minus 51x squared plus 0x plus 54. I've got to put my 0 terms in here, so when I synthetically divide, I don't make a mistake. So I have 5, 0, negative 51, 0, 54. Put it inside, and what did we say our solution was? Negative 3. So step 1 is to graph. Step 2 is to synthetically divide by a solution. So we bring down 5, multiply. Negative 15. Add. Multiply. That's a positive 45. Add. That's a negative 6. Multiply. That's a positive 18. Add. Multiply. It's a negative 54. Add, it's 0. So our remainder is 0. Then we add our terms to the correct degree. X to the 3rd, x squared, x. So our solution is 5x to the 3rd minus 15x squared minus 6x plus 18. So that is step 1. We know that the first answer for x is negative 3. Okay, now we need to factor. I'm going to factor this one by grouping. Because I can see pretty quickly that there are some numbers that are looking pretty similar. So I'm going to take out 5x squared. That leaves me with x minus 3. I'm going to take out a negative 6. That's going to leave me with x minus 3. That means I have x minus 3 times 5x squared minus 6 equals 0. So I'm going to set both of these equal to 0. X minus 3 is equal to 0. So another solution is that x is equal to 3. I'm then going to put 5x squared minus 6 is equal to 0. Opposite of subtraction is addition. So 5x squared is equal to 6 over 5. Sorry, yeah, because I have to divide. These cancel out. I then take the square root of both sides. So x is equal to positive or negative square root of 6/5, and I have to rationalize my denominator. So x is equal to plus or minus the square root of 30 over 5. So my other two solutions are irrational, and there they are. Okay, the last question, the last example. Is this one. So again, step 1 is to use Desmos to find one solution. So we've got 5x to the third, not 43rd, 5x to the third plus 29x squared plus 19x minus 5. Okay, one of my solutions is negative 1. So my x is equal to negative 1. Synthetically divide 5, 29, 19, negative 5. And I'm going to divide that by negative 1. Bring down the 5, multiply, add. Multiply, add. Multiply, add. Add our degrees. So this is x squared, x, and a negative 5. So we have, because this is our remainder, 5x squared plus 24x minus 5. Now, I'm going to use the Kung Fu method. 5 times 5 is negative 25. That is 1 and 25 and 5 and 5. Because I am going to be subtracting them, I have to use these terms. 24 is positive, so 25 is going to be positive. So this becomes x minus 1, and it becomes x plus 25. And as a reminder, we are going to divide by the coefficient of 5. So this leaves me with, then this numerator comes out front, 5x minus 1, and x plus 5. We set them both equal to 0. So 5x minus 1 equal to 0, plus 1 on both sides. 5x is equal to 1. Divide by 5. X is equal to 1/5. So second solution is 1/5. X plus 5 is equal to 0, minus 5 from both sides. X is equal to -5. So our third solution is x is -5. So you have all the notes you need. If you need to know how to solve by grouping, you have an example. If you need to know how to solve by doing the Kung Fu method, you have an example. You've got examples here. Remember, you've got 5 problems to attempt.